Hello everyone, greetings from Storycorner at Bookmine, and I am Sudha Umashanker, and today I have lined up a very different story for you. It's not a mythological story this time, but nevertheless it's a very important story that reflects on the society that we live in. And the story that I am going to share with you today is the Nirbhaya story, the story of India's brave heart. Now, 29th December 2012 was when Nirbhaya succumbed to very grievous injuries and infections following gang rape in Delhi. And tomorrow marks the 13th anniversary of her passing. I've been wanting to do a kind of tribute to Nirbhaya in the form of a story that shares what she might have been through in those harrowing days, and therefore I've come up with this first person account, which I imagined would have been the way Nirbhaya would have told her own story. So let's get into the story right away. 16th of December 2012. It was a day that changed my life forever. It was the day when I became a statistic and joined the 24,923 rape cases in India. Up until that time, I wasn't even aware of the fact that I was living in the rape capital of India, which is New Delhi. I was at a very promising time in my life. I had just finished my physiotherapy course in Dehradun, and I was so looking forward to doing my internship at a hospital in Delhi. Life held so much hope and promise for me at that point. I wanted to make a mark in life, and I wanted to support the education of my two younger brothers, one of whom was studying engineering and the other who was in the 10th standard. I wanted to care and give back to my parents. My father, who worked very hard as a baggage loader, he in fact wanted to become a teacher, but he worked hard to put me through school and college and give me a good education, and he even sold off the only piece of land that he had. My mother was a homemaker, and she worked very hard to make two ends meet. We lived on a shoestring budget, and often we only had rotis and a little salt for a meal, but we were a very happy family. That evening, as I waved goodbye to my mother, she said what she always said to me: "Be careful, huh, beta?" And I said, "Don't worry, Ma. I'll be safe and I'll come back soon." Little did I know what was in store for me. My friend and I were at the multiplex where The Life of Pi was showing, and we really enjoyed the film, me in particular, because I had read the book earlier. After the show finished, we walked out and tried to hail an auto or a three-wheeler or just some means of transport to get back home. One auto stopped by and took us in, but unfortunately he just left us in the middle of nowhere and said he couldn't go any further, and we were left there stranded for some time until a chartered bus came by and stopped. A young boy about 16 or 17 stood on the steps and he said, "Tiao, I'll take you wherever, we will drop you wherever you need to go." It was already 9:30 and the two of us wanted to get back home without any further delay, so we decided we would just get into the bus and travel in it. As soon as we got into the bus, something didn't feel right about the atmosphere inside the bus. There were 5 people inside the bus, not counting the driver, and that includes that young chap. And soon they began dragging us into some kind of an argument. "What are you two doing so late in the night?" asked one. "Wearing jeans, huh? Don't you know that girls in jeans roaming around the streets at this time can attract unnecessary attention?" said another. "What I wear and what I do and where I go is no business of yours," I replied sternly. But then the argument just escalated. And suddenly my friend noticed that they were taking an altogether different route. So he asked them, he said, "Hey, what are you doing? Where are you going?" And before he could utter another syllable, they brought out an iron rod from somewhere and hit him on the head. He swooned from that attack and fell on the floor of the bus. Losing no time, the 5 of them just grabbed me and dragged me to the back of the bus and pinned me down. I kicked and screamed and pinched and did all that I could do in defense to just fend them off. My friend was still reeling from that attack, and he couldn't even get onto his feet. So these fellows just pinned me down. They tore apart my clothes. They pulled me by the hair, and one after another they assaulted me. And if that was not enough, there was one final act of violence. That very same rod that they used to hit my friend was jabbed into my privates. I just couldn't handle the pain. It was simply excruciating. I was bleeding profusely. My intestines were hanging out and I couldn't move. Now that they had done whatever they wanted to do with us, they now opened the doors of the bus and flung us out onto the road on a lonely stretch. We lay there for 2 hours, bleeding, injured, in severe pain, me half naked, but no one came. A few autos and other people just stopped by and glanced at us curiously, but I think they didn't want any trouble on their hands, so they just moved away. And someone on patrol came by a short while after, and he called the police. 3 police vans arrived, and then they were debating under whose jurisdiction a crime of this nature would come under. And finally, it was decided to take me to the nearest hospital in Safdarjung in the 3rd police van. My friend carried me into the van. At the hospital, we struggled to even get a sheet to cover me. My friend called his relatives, and they brought some clothes and sheets. My parents were informed, and they arrived on the scene, and I simply burst out when I saw both of them. I was in excruciating pain, but I was determined to live. I wanted the culprits, those 5 culprits who did this to me, to be punished. I was in the Safdarjung hospital for little over 10 days. I underwent 3 surgeries. One to remove the gangrenous part of my intestine, as a result of which I was left only with 3 inches of that 6-meter long part of my body. I had a stomach wash, and I went through other procedures. But I wanted to live. On day 2, I even walked. My mother stayed with me in the ICU, and I told her everything that happened. My father and my 2 brothers visited me, as did my friend, after he somewhat recovered from his injuries. I would communicate to the doctors in writing, and I would tell them when my throat hurt or I felt a burning sensation in me. And then I suffered a heart attack. For 3 minutes, they could not locate my BP or my pulse, and apparently that was a time when the brain also got damaged. So there was a certain degree of cerebral edema. And then things just went downhill after that. It was also decided to shift me to Singapore, Elizabeth Hospital in Singapore, for further treatment. Meanwhile, following the heart attack that I had suffered and the not being able to locate the pulse and BP for 3 minutes, the brain developed edema, or it became a swollen brain, and then there was a multi-organ failure. There was fluid in my lungs. The infection had spiraled out of control in spite of being pumped with antibiotics of the strongest nature. I literally had developed all the possible complications that could have been there in a medical textbook. But I was still not willing to give up. I wanted to fight. I wanted to live. I wanted to actualize my dreams of starting a hospital for the poor. I wanted to fund the education of my brothers, and I wanted to give back and care for my parents. But then my body and everything else, my brain, just gave up. Some dreams, I think, do die. So much against my will, someone like me succumbed to this horrific gang rape. I know that that year there were 723 rape incidences in Delhi alone. In more than 90% of the cases, charges are framed and the culprit is prosecuted. But the conviction rate is only 33%. Although I died much against my will, I hope my dying is not in vain. I hope there is some good that comes out of my losing my life in a manner like this. I hope each one of you will do something to make this world safer for yourself and for women, young women and girls in my age group. I sincerely wish that no young girl or young woman should ever have to go through an experience like this. So with these thoughts, I am now going to say goodbye to all of you, and the doctors, of course, did their very best, but as one doctor said, the injuries were too grievous, the infection too strong, that my body gave up the fight. Thank you all for listening in to this account of Nirbhaya's story, India's braveheart. And along with Nirbhaya, we should also, I was very heartened to read about another police officer, a woman police officer called Chaya Sharma, an IPS officer who played a significant role in tracking down the culprits very soon. So 29th of December is the day we should all remember each year and do something in Nirbhaya's memory to make this world a safer place for all women. Thank you very much.